Welcome to this, my third show in search of the land of Maquina. This week we're going to go to Tofino and talk to Joe Martin, master carver of canoes. And they've actually got, he and his apprentices, a canoe that they're going to raffle off this summer for family members that are taking part of the tribal journey that's going up to Bella Bella this summer. So that's really exciting. Tickets are just $20. It's your chance to get a traditional Nachalnuth 20-foot canoe. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. And we're going to go to Nanaimo and talk all about muskets. To the Military Museum is where we're going to go and look at the Brown Bess, which is the kind of musket that they were using in 1788. And special guest, my musical guest, this week is Miles Black, my old friend. And it's interesting because Miles and I started working on the Maquina story as a rock opera. It must have been 30 years ago. We were just talking about that. So anyway, let's go see what we can find. We'll go talk to Miles and listen to him play. Let's go.
Yeah, you're rolling here. Everything's tight. Okay, do it.
Hi, we're here today with my good friend Miles Black.
Yes,
Milos, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good.
Good, good. And you're here playing at the Crofton pub.
I'm up there at the Crofton pub.
Isn't that exciting?
First time at the Crofton pub.
It's a wonderful thing that they're doing this every Sunday. They've got really great people, and they're being well attended, and it's a wonderful thing to see jazz flourishing again.
Yeah, for sure. It pops up all over the place. Funny little flowers growing in the most inexplicable places.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how are things over in Vancouver? What are you up to these days?
Oh, things are great. I've been playing a lot. I play piano, about some saxophone gigs lately, and some gigs on the upright bass and jazz guitar gigs. Bit of teaching, and I work down in the States a fair amount too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Absolutely. I just saw you on TV just a little while ago. It was a bit of a sad thing, a story about a jazz club closing in Vancouver. Yeah. It's sad to lose a venue like that.
Yeah, it was the last jazz club in Vancouver that's gone. But, as I said before, jazz pops up.
Yeah.
So
you can't kill it.
You can't kill it, man. It'll just
it's so cool.
It's impossible to kill the spirit of the music, so it'll just keep popping up. And another club will probably open soon.
Right. Absolutely, good stuff. Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing you today. We're gonna bring along the cameras, and we'll take some footage of you, and it's gonna be wonderful.
Oh,
so let's go and check them out. In Crofton and do some time travel. We'll head off to Tofino and talk to master carver Joe Martin all about canoes. And on the way, we're going to stop in Parksville and see the guitar doctor, Rufus Stewart. He's going to fix my guitar. My guitar is feeling a little sick, poor thing. Anyway, let's go. Rufus Stewart here, and he's got this guitar shop, some of the stars of rock and roll and Canadian music have worked with Rufus. Well, it's such a beautiful place you've got here.
Thanks. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's certainly a pleasure, and all this is largely to the credit of my wife.
Beautiful gardens. We'll take some pictures. Well, why don't we take a look inside?
All right.
After you. Yeah. So what do you do here?
Well, the most notable thing, of course, is what I've been doing for 49 years, which is repairs and restorations of all manner of guitar, bass, violin, and even some unique instruments like this quite unique instrument here made in the 1930s.
Wow,
which
what is it?
A Hawaiian guitar.
Ah.
And, so you never know what's going to show up in here. But we'll tackle it all. Here's a beautiful dulcimer that was handmade in Ontario by a fellow who made it for his son.
Right.
Unfortunately, a bit of water damage that we're going to take care of, but a gorgeous instrument.
And actually, the dulcimer is more a traditional instrument for the early settlers, definitely, than the guitar.
Very definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mountain instrument.
Right. The Appalachian.
Rural instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So you're saying you just got back from your trip out east?
Yeah, just got back from 2 months on the road, which ended up in Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
And which is one of my favorite places of all time, but also because there's such a culture of musical awareness from all members of the family, from grandpas down to little kids.
We're talking kitchen music.
Yeah. Mostly my clients are people that play at home. And some indeed are professionals that we hear on CBC and
Right.
East Coast Music Awards. And
Absolutely. How about Great Big Sea? Have you seen those guys?
I've seen them for sure. Yeah, it's one of Danny Greenspoon's productions.
That's right, Danny Greenspoon. I knew him when he was in Victoria. I met him.
Yeah.
About the same. Well, I guess it would have been a few years after this guitar. I got this guitar.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, he's an old friend of mine from Montreal.
That's right.
And he's done extremely well. Not only as a player in his own right, but primarily because he had a mobile recording studio and has gone into production.
Sure.
Anyway, yeah.
I remember way back then, he was one of the first ones to teach me one of my first really good guitar licks. Danny Greenspoon. Yeah. Nice to see Rufus, and we're going to head off now to Tofino and see Joe Martin. He's at the Ucluelet High School working on a canoe with the finishing touches with two of his apprentices. So we'll go and talk to him, and let's go! How are you doing?
Oh, good, thanks.
Good to see you. Good to meet you. And I thought that we'd talk about the canoe a bit.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I went down to the Maritime Museum last week and we talked about all the ships, European ships that were sailing around these waters. But the real heritage of this whole coast is the canoe.
Yes, all the tribes along the coast, the canoes evolved on the coast here for a long time. I have no idea how long, but basically I feel that the shapes of many of the canoes is very, very similar, from the Newfoundland, the Quagyu, the Coast Sailors, to the Haida. I feel the shape is very, very similar.
Right.
And I think that those canoes and each of these cultures evolved over a long, long time. Yeah, the teachings of the people here, they began very, very early. Actually began when their mothers conceived their lives. And basically those are teachings on a totem pole, and you know, those things, what those things are, basically what they are in our culture is what it is, a constitution. Those teachings, they did not end until we died. But the very first law was the crest that represents the sun or the moon, and that's why they're on top of the totem pole. And that is about the very first teaching, the very first law, and it's about respect. And that teaching began as soon as our mothers conceived our lives. And that is a teaching that did not end until we died. So you know, the people, they were really well taught about all those things. So you know, we did not need to really spend any time in school at all. Our whole life was our education and our school, because we'd had to go with our. Now we're able to walk. We'd go with our grandparents walking in the forest, and during the whole time, as soon as we would sit down and eat, they would teach us about being respectful, because they said that was important. Most important time is when we're eating, because we're taking in good food. We should also be taking in good information.
What about
and good water? And then now those things were very important. So as a person grew up, I think that was like every male in every house was expected to learn how to carve a canoe. Maybe they were not, but at least they would do that, because they'd be around it all the time. And just, yeah, I'll have to do this myself if I want to get across the water. They'd have to learn how to carve a canoe, and there they would learn. And so you know, the carvings of canoes, you know, basically I feel that are same among the Quagyus, the Coast Sailors, the Nuu-chah-nulth, the Haida. You know, they're basically teachings of natural law. Because if you look at a canoe, you see the shape of them, and I feel that they are basically teachings of natural law. You look at a whale, you look at a fish, you see how it's shaped and how it's made to go and streamlined in the water. And our people took those concepts and used them to the best of their knowledge and their abilities, and carved their canoes as such. And so, you know, it was very, very important that they were able to do those things. All males. I don't believe there was one couch potato in the former days when everyone was really well fit and you know, athletic. You look at the photographs of the old guys, they had melons like that on their shoulders, like those guys are 60, 70 years old. And now you have a look at us today, we're like that. It's true. We changed, though. Our diets have changed from what those folks had in the former days and to what we have today. Stone, bone, and fire. That was it. People often ask, you know, how they would take down a great big knot. So I'm going to show you something here. Just take a great big flat rock. This is a small stone actually, but you take a big flat rock and you heat this thing red hot. So you had a knot you wanted to take down. Of course, they're really hot. You just take that red hot rock and you put it on, and it burns that down like that. And you just brush away the ash. You take that fire heated rock again, and until it's perfect. And you know, those are things that just people just use their heads with. And you can do anything if you want to. Yeah, those are things, you know, people would say you can learn anything if you want to. So, you know, there are those things also about being afraid. If you're afraid, you'll only learn so much. But if you're not afraid, they also you can learn anything. And then that's what the folks use. Big rocks like that. You know, a big flat one, red hot, burn the knots on it. Not too bad. Let it burn while you carve on the rest of the thing.
And they used adzes, hand adzes?
Yes, there were several types of adzes. They had different shaped blades, you know, made of whalebone or rock or whatever else they had. But of course, in the former days also they had the best cedar, so they didn't really have a lot of knots to deal with. But when they had to deal with them, they knew how to deal with them. And yeah, sometimes the knots, they shrink and fall out. And when that happens, all you do is you go along the forest and you find a spruce tree, and you take it with a lot of those really sticky, sharp spruce needles, and you pull a branch right through, and you take a really sharp yew wood stick, depending on the size of the knot, and you make it taper down like a needle, and you drive that right in the middle until all the juices from the needles squish out, and then you cut it off flush. That was easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And these drill holes, are they there to make sure you've got the right width of depth in the...
So when we dig out the inside,
right. Is it pretty well the same from the bottom all the way down the side?
no, thicker, and then it gets thinner and thinner, different dowel size.
That makes a lot of sense. And this is the stern.
Yeah.
Right. You've got, it's incredible how well they handle with no skag or anything like that. that again?
Where we had sandpaper, people used dogfish skin.
Right.
Or, here, just feel that. Here, just feel that.
Oh.
Just a moment. Feel that.
That's amazing. Well, it's like it's alive. It's so organic.
Yeah. And now they have completed their own canoe recently, and it's about the same size as this. And what they're doing with that canoe is it is now being raffled to raise funds for travel canoe journeys for their family.
Was that ever
yeah,
cool?
Yeah, and it's 20 feet long and $20 a ticket. And they have 1,000 tickets to sell for quality price.
How can they get in touch with you?
How did we get in touch with Joe?
How do you get in touch with you for the tickets?
For the tickets?
730-1937 is my brother's number.
Yeah.
I don't know his girlfriend's wife's number,
That's okay.
but yeah, that's probably the best way to get hold of
Okay.
some tickets.
Nice. So it was great seeing Joe Martin and learning all about canoes. Now we're going to head back to Nanaimo on the way home, and we're going to stop at the Military Museum. Okay, we're rolling, and we're talking. Can I get you to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Gavin Cooper.
Pleased to meet you, Gavin.
Hi.
Excellent, and we're here at the Maritime Museum in Nanaimo, and we're talking about the brown bus.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, let's go back to what it was used in the 18th century, right up. So it's a muzzle loader. You could fire approximately 2 shots per minute in a battle, because there's a procedure in loading it and clearing it and whatnot. Mm-hmm. In World War I, they could fire 200 shots a minute. Yes, this is the Aboriginal area, Aboriginal veterans.
Yes.
This is Pemagamagau, or Peggy. He's a First World War Aboriginal veteran. And this is an award for bravery. It's the highest award for bravery next to the Victoria Cross. He won it once, he won it twice, he won it 3 times. It's just completely unusual.
Right, well that's this week's show. I hope you had some fun and you enjoyed the music. I hope you learned something too. I sure did. All right, we'll see you next time. This is Chris Sherlock signing off.
Okay, Chris.
Oh, let's get that at the end again with, did you get that, Rusty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well that's this week's show. I hope you enjoyed the music. I hope you learned something. I sure did. And I hope you had some fun too, that's the main thing. So we'll see you next time. That's a wrap. Did you get it, Rusty?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be up here in front of you.
Who are going by? Are there any whales going by these now?
There are right now, yeah, grey whales, but they're here feeding.
Right.
So they're here permanently till the end of October. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Are they on their way up north?
Some do, some don't. They don't make the full migration.
Right.
But the ones that we watch are the kind of Vancouver Island whales, you know?
Really?
Yeah, so they stick around a while.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What about the humpbacks? Have they gone through?
They're about 20 miles out right now, so we haven't seen any yet, but the fish are here, so when the fish are in abundance, they'll start to come a bit more. So, yeah, it's going to be good, hey? I love humpbacks.
They breach, don't they?
They breach sometimes, you know, they're here for the food, obviously, but they like to feel good sometimes, so they breach. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Could you say that again? The
No problem. All baleen whales are solitary, so they're all by themselves.
Ah,
So it's just the ones with teeth, like the killer whales, they travel in family groups.
right.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. That's just how they work, how they operate. Now we have a wet boat.
Well, you're not coming on the trip.
No, I'm not. I wish I was.
You're all good, my dear. All right, thank you.
I'm here to wave goodbye.
Yes, we will do a royal wave. Yes.